Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company at Watches and Wonders 2025. We are at Officine Panerai, and we are talking about the new watches for this model year. This is Panerai, of course, so the watches are going to be familiar, but look closer and you start to see the nuance that is all revisions all the time. And by that, I mean this watch right here, part of a new series of Luminor Marina. This is the 3312, and all of the basic 44mm Luminor you're going to see are based on this model. This is the steel case, 44mm. The changes start right here. Thickness. It's now 13.7 millimeters thick, which is said to be a considerable reduction from a reference watch, which I believe to be something more or less like a PAM 312. So look up my reviews of the PAM 312 and you compare the thickness of that to 13.7, you get a sense of the first major change. Now another major change is LumiNova. Of course, Lum, a long-time Panerai hallmark, and this is a new X2 variety that is going to be a lot brighter. So if you want that dusk till dawn type of Lum that doesn't have to be recharged in the middle of the night, it's got that going on. Other things that are important on the reverse side, strap swapping's always been a big part of the Panerai experience, and Panerai wants to make that a little bit easier now. So if you are using an OEM strap, there's this new PAM click system that allows you to press a button and remove the strap, but you still get traditional Panerai screws and bars. So if you want to throw some sort of OEM or aftermarket option that fits the lug spacing, you can still do that. The proprietary quick release is part of the strap, not the case, so you can still use normal straps. This is a version of 316 steel that's said to be a little bit lighter than the previous models by about 15%. Not something I've been able to objectively test, but just keep that in mind. The movement is an evolution of the previous 900, and there are actually quite a few worthwhile changes here. It helps the watch to be a little bit thinner, but it also gains a full balance bridge. So rather than a single-sided balance cock, we've got a dual anchored bridge for a bit more shock resistance. And yes, it does have hacking seconds. Automatic winding, 23 joules. It's got a 72-hour power reserve via one mainspring barrel. And you can see right here, this watch is very classically Panerai. Outside in the Panerai booth here, they have everything from the modern Officine Panerai, the 5218s, right up to the present model and its derivatives, and we're going to talk about those right now. So in addition to this lovely traditional matte black dial, we've got a dial that is best described as a sort of sunburst metallic blue. Now this is going to be the 3313. This watch is identical in every way to the 12, with the main difference being that specific dial. What seems interesting to me, if you compare dials this year, it looks like Fotina is on the way out. So that's just an observation I made. You can also see that while these are spec'd with alligator leather straps, you're about to see that that is not universal across the current collection. And if you're wondering, yes, the trapezoidal pin buckles are still fixed with screws and bars. So if you are a paneristo and you've already gotten to the culture of strap swapping, you probably have the jeweler's screwdrivers to start swapping buckle from strap, and you can now easily swap straps from case. Another classical look, albeit one that's not considered maybe the default Panerai aesthetic, but the white dial. It's been long running, and there are those for whom the white dial is the best choice. Typically places where you see a lot of rose gold, yellow gold, white dials are also en vogue. The Riviera, Florida, Miami, Singapore, the Middle East. So this is a cooler look, a watch that's a little bit lighter in its aesthetic, maybe a little bit more elegant, dressy. You can see it still uses the alligator leather strap. It's sort of an upscale tradition at Panerai to get something that's not a textile or rubber or calfskin. And all of these new generation Luminor models do come with the alligator leather strap until we get to the 3325. Now we're looking at titanium. This is said to be 44% lighter than the steel. We've got a green dial. We have a very minimally tanned, almost nubuck-like leather texture. You can see on the reverse, mechanically exactly the same. And I need to shout out one of the major changes made to the case itself, not just the thickness, but the new 500-meter water resistance. So these are all 50 ATM now, and they still have the iconic lever-actuated device protecting the crown. So they made the watch thinner, but they also made it a lot tougher. And if you're maybe inspired to buy a Panerai for the size and the look and the attitude and the history, but perhaps steel is just a bit too weighty, titanium is definitely the way to go. And yes, it is grade 5 titanium for the purists. Here we have the 3323. This is the one on the bracelet, and obviously a blue metallic sunburst, much like the 3313. But it's worth mentioning that the bracelet here has changed more than the watch even. Of course, the bracelet, a long-time Panerai design cue, has these overlapping lobes that echo the design of the iconic crown guard. But what we've got here is now a version of the PAM click release system built into the bracelet, so you can remove the bracelet from the case without any special tools. And a little bit like the Vacheron Constantin Overseas, there is a double sliding micro adjustment in the clasp, about 1.5 millimeters on each side. You can deploy one, neither, or both to fine-tune the fit, and that's very important to remember. So just keep in mind that you have a lot of adjustability in this bracelet. Every single link is removable by screwdriver. You've got the micro adjustment, you've got PAM click to remove it entirely. Mechanically, it is the 980 caliber that you saw elsewhere. It's exactly the same. This one, however, is not. Powered by a version of the 4100 that we first saw back in 2021, this is the big piece for this year. It's the Panerai Luminor Perpetual calendar, and it's part of the Platinumtech families. What is Platinumtech? I asked around, and it seems like it's a combination of changes to the alloy. It's still 950 platinum, but there are secondaries that make it harder. There also seems to be some sort of heat treatment in the creation of the metal that makes it more scratch resistant. So it's a combination of the materials used and then the way the metal's actually treated. It's still a 44 millimeter watch. You can see that it's very similar in size to all of these. It's a little bit thicker, and it's certainly heavier as a platinum timepiece. We've got the same device protecting the crown, though this one is 50 meters water resistant. You're going to confine your swimming to the surface only. The dial is probably the highlight here. We'll talk about the movement, but the dial is now a sort of smoked blue sapphire. It's a beautiful marine reference that's an homage to Panerai's nautical heritage, and perhaps the most exciting part of this transparent dial is you can now see the underlying discs that make up the Perpetual calendar system. The watch also features GMT capability. There's a second time zone. It's got 0 reset seconds. When you pull the crown out, the seconds hand resets straight up to the index, so you can set it precisely against a reference time. This is a Perpetual calendar adjustable entirely through the crown. Then you turn it over, you can see the 4100 is based on the caliber 4000 micro rotor. So you've got a micro rotor automatic winding system. You've got a power reserve indicator that indicates you've got your power reserve of multiple days. You've got the months and the leap year phase. You've got a full balance bridge and a free sprung balance for shock resistance, and it actually helps keep the watch relatively thin because they are using a micro rotor rather than a stack of central rotors and then winding bridges. A really, really cool watch, and you know, if you're wondering, you've got so much capability built in here and so much technical refinement. I'm almost going to say this is not really for Panerai snobs. This is maybe for the guy who's shopping cool independence, maybe he's shopping Jaeger LeCoultre, maybe Zenith, maybe Glasuta Original, a company that's really known for having a focus on complications and sophistication in movement engineering. This is a rare Panerai that actually appeals to that type of guy. Alternatively, if you are a veteran Panerai collector, you've got your pre-Vendômes, you've got your tritium dials, maybe you've got Officine Panerai pre-civilian era, and you want something as a capstone to the collection, this is a great way to do that because it does have so much capability, and it proves that Panerai as a manufacturer can also do complexity. And then again, this one right here, it's got a 3-day power reserve, and it is automatically wound by micro rotor. This is Officine Panerai for 2025. Time out.